The opportunity to meet and compare notes. And one of the things that I always appreciate is how well I'm able to brag about the good functionality of this board. Not every state has the opportunity to function as well as we do, quite frankly, and they look to Tennessee as an example and a role model of how they want their boards to operate and function. So thank you for your commitment to this board and the way that we operate and the cooperation we have among all the departments and the staffs of the various components. Just makes me proud to be a part of this, and I just want to know that you should be proud because compared to other states, we have a very, very well-run board, so thank you. And then yesterday, we had the opportunity to have a little bit of strategy, particularly around the recent executive order that the governor signed, so that we can make sure that we're organized, particularly our committees are organized in a way that support that best. And so the committees had some good discussions about goals and where they want to be strategically to support some of the changes that are coming as a result of that executive order. So appreciate everybody's participation yesterday that was able to help, and the good insights and thinking that went into that. And then we also heard a little bit, we had a preview of what we're going to hear later today regarding the benefits cliff and ways maybe we should be thinking as a board about that for the residents of Tennessee and how that impacts them. So I look forward to hearing a little bit more about that later today, and particularly for those who weren't able to hear it yesterday, I think you're really going to appreciate the insight. Okay. Don't forget, if you're speaking today, to use your microphone, because we are in streaming land, so people who are not here are able to watch. So make sure that you do that. Anything else before we do roll call? All right. So Eiler, would you do the roll call for us, please?
Good morning. As I call your name, please use a microphone to confirm your attendance audibly. If you are a member of a local workforce development board, please state the local board. If you are representing by proxy and your name is not called, please state your name for the record. Jackie Akbari. Natalie Alvarez.
Present.
Martha Axford.
Present.
Brandy Lassiter for State Senator Paul Bailey. Assistant Commissioner Jay Baker.
Present.
Joe Baker.
Present.
Jason Bates.
Present.
Tim Berry.
Here.
Linda Botch.
Present.
State Representative Clark Boyd. Suzanne Carr, designee for Commissioner Carter.
Present.
Billy Dykes.
Present.
Ben Ferguson.
Present, Southwest.
Max Goldberg.
Present.
Marshall Graves.
Present from Southeast.
J. Paul Jackson. David Jordan.
Present.
Mayor Tim Kelly.
Present.
Policy Director and Governor's Designee Michael Hendricks.
Present.
Sandra Long.
Present.
Director Jenny McCabe for Commissioner McWhorter.
Present.
Mayor Mike Progreba.
Present, Northern Middle.
Stuart Price.
Present.
Assistant Commissioner Deborah Knoll, designee for Commissioner Reynolds.
Present.
Jason Schmidt.
Present.
Lee Sloan.
Present.
David Stansel.
Present.
Commissioner Denise Thomas.
Present.
Jamie Schote, proxy for Will Trum.
Present.
Jeff Vance.
Present.
Ron Wade.
Present, Greater Memphis.
Assistant Commissioner Kevin Wright.
Present.
As a reminder, for any votes during this meeting, you must recuse yourself if there is a conflict of interest. Chairman Berry, we have a quorum.
Excellent. Thank you for doing that. Okay, and so we need to approve minutes from the prior meeting. I trust you had a chance to review those in the materials we were provided, so I'll look for a motion to approve those as presented. Motion. Oh, thank you, Ben. And a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. Thank you, Sandra. And then any further discussion about the minutes? Okay, hearing none. All in favor of accepting the minutes as presented, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, the minutes are approved. All right, Commissioner, give us an update on labor and workforce development and some of the systems we've been working on.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and good morning to members of the board and those that are here to support the work. As Chairman mentioned, we spent last week in Billings, Montana with the National Governors Association. Fantastic meeting. I warned the chairman, I said, when you arrive, you're going to get mauled because there were a lot of questions about the energy and the partnership and the activity that's happening in Tennessee. There were people waiting on us when we arrived, and what a great story to tell. What an incredible vision from our governor. What an incredible sense of partnership and forward thinking and innovation by this board. Because again, when we share, we're sharing this work that among this collaborative here. The focus of that was really around governance. Executive Order 109 had made its way across the country before we even arrived. And I think specifically what was a huge area of focus for a lot of the other states was really giving their state workforce boards expanded duties beyond just the WIOA portfolio. The biggest question was, well, what made you do that? How did you do that? How did you get it done? And so being able to have what I call a conductor like the State Workforce Board to really drive the vision home was a real focal point. And so, again, congratulations to this board for your leadership. There, we were also asked to continue to lead the work for the other liaisons across the states and territories. So I'll be serving a second term as NGA Workforce Liaison Chair for as long as they'll have me. We'll be leading that work as well, which is incredibly important because not only does it allow the model for Tennessee to be really shown to other states, it gives us a voice to help shape the new strategy across the country. And speaking of that, we know there's been several reports that have really lent some insight into the vision for Tennessee's workforce, the last of those being what we affectionately call the Golden Age Report. And I talked a little bit about this in the strategy session, but the 5 key pillars of that are industry-driven strategies, worker mobility, integrated systems, accountability, and lastly, flexibility and innovation. All of these have been topics that this board has really sat in for the course of the last few years. So none of this will catch the board by surprise. I think what this does now is it really is shaping up the federal policy to really match what Tennessee has already been thinking about, which will give us the opportunity to really start to recommend some things to the governor and really push some things down through policy and practice. I know there's been a lot of questions about funding. We too have those questions, but we are also not waiting to see what comes down from DC before we act. We fully expect there'll be at a minimum a 10% reduction in the workforce funding. This is not the first time we've seen a declination in funding. However, I do think with the work around alignment, it will allow us to be able to access funding that was once not available to us. And so through some ingenuity, I'm not as concerned. It was always great to get more funding, but I'm more concerned about the flexibility because flexibility stretches the dollars. And that's where we're really going to put our energy and really look forward to working with the board on that. I think the big question is around what's going to happen with WIOA as it stands right now. We have seen some of the inclination of some of the policymakers. We kind of have some ideas of what they want, but the ink is not dry. I know the big question that a lot of our local partners want to know is around block grants. I will tell you is that all signs point that direction, but we don't know. We're still waiting, and once we know, we will certainly share back with all of those that are impacted. But in the meantime, we have this incredible opportunity ahead of us to redesign our systems so that they not only work for the job seekers across our great state, but also for employers. And with that, the department has really had to take an internal look at how we were structured and what will be our posture to support Tennessee Works and all the great initiatives that our governor is continuing to lead. And so we have undergone a little bit of a change inside of labor and workforce, and I don't know if we have that. Thank you. Will you cue that up for me? And I want to share with you today just a small snippet of our org chart. We were organized in 6 operational divisions. We have done a little bit of surgery to our structure, and we have now developed a new business engagement division that you see now on the screen. Why is this important? We truly believe that the main artery for workforce development and innovation and economic development will run through our engagement with business and industry. That should be our main focus. As I said on yesterday, we can train people all day long, but we don't employ them. Business and industry does. And so that will be our main artery now, is our business engagement division. With that, we are bringing apprenticeship and consultation. This is everything from safety to advisement on workforce strategy and policy. Under this business engagement division, our labor market intelligence will rest here. We are proud to have 2 assistant commissioners that will anchor this work that are new to our team. I'm going to ask them. Yes, I'm going to embarrass you here. So I'm going to ask Ken Neely if he would stand. He will take over our apprenticeship and consultation. So Ken Neely is our newest assistant commissioner. Yeah, we can give him a round of applause. Thank you, Ken. Ken is not new to us. He served as our assistant administrator for workplace regulation and compliance. We're just simply moving him in to capitalize on his skill set. Tyler Asher. Tyler, where are you? If you will stand. Tyler is not new to us either. He has been our business development director for the Upper Cumberland area. He will move over now and oversee all of our regional business development programming, along with some of our programs that touch business, such as rapid response and incumbent worker, on-the-job training. All of this is really designed to put us in a posture to be more responsive and more nimble. We will simply not wait until we get the writing from the feds on what we need to do. We know what we need to do in Tennessee, and so we're going to use this opportunity to be ready to go. This new division is now ready to get started. So they will be canvassing the state to really start to work with employers to really showcase sort of this new forward focus that we have on making sure that we can sit in industry sectors. As you know, there's funding that has come out at the federal level around Make America Skilled Again that are very industry focused. We are working very, very hard to get that grant written and submitted. We hope that Tennessee is successful. Again, the goal of this is not just to have a very broad-based business engagement strategy, but to have expertise in industry sectors. So when we say we're improving workforce outcomes, we're saying workforce outcomes in hospitality, workforce outcomes in healthcare. That's the goal. And I want to recognize our partners because this has been such a tremendous effort by which we have been supported to the left and right by incredible leadership and innovation from other agencies. And I want to recognize both at the cabinet level, the commissioners from Economic Development, Education, Human Services, Dr. Gentile with the Higher Education Commission, Chancellor Tidings with the Board of Regents. It's been an incredible partnership, and I really want to thank those that are represented today. I know we have some folks from TBR, from THEC, from ECD, from Human Services, from Education. Thank you guys so very much, because for so long this work has been or appeared to be very narrow, just with labor. And I think with intentionality, we've said this doesn't rest with a department. This is our state's portfolio. This is the operating arm for our governor. And so I'm so happy to work with folks that get it. And I think that our best days in Tennessee are certainly ahead of us, and we will continue to be the beacon for workforce and economic development for the rest of the country. So thank you to our partners. Thank you to the board for your support, for your leadership. And with this expanded charge from Executive Order 109, the sky is really the limit. So I look forward in working with you on developing a new plan that we can submit to the governor as we continue to bring more under the umbrella and under the oversight of this board. So with that, Chairman, I will yield. I'm sorry, I have one more note that my team would get me if I didn't say this. For the first time, I've been a part of labor and workforce development for 18 years. For the first time that I can think of, and some of the folks that have been here longer than me, we had our audit. We had 0 audit findings and no observations. We had a clean audit, completely clean. And that is, again, a representation of some incredible work, people that do the work here at Labor and Workforce Development. It's not me, it's the people that are doing the work every single day. And I want to publicly acknowledge my team and their great work. And really, I want to thank the members of the General Assembly for keeping us honest. So we can do work that's innovative, we can do work that moves the needle, and we can do it cleanly, and we can do it to keep the integrity and the trust of the public at the forefront. So thank you again, and Mr. Chairman, I will yield.
That's excellent news. I'm just going to say, if anybody is in this room that's part of that staff that had the clean audit, stand up. Come on, there you go. Well deserved, that is rare. So thank you for that. Let's hear from Chief Strategy Officer Brianna Thomas with some updates.
Sure, so I'm gonna be brief. Just wanted to put some meat on the bones of the high-level updates the Commissioner just shared. Some examples of multiple activities that we have that have been aligned with our traditional partners that you see represented here on the board, and then several that she referenced. I just want to give them some shout outs. Several of them have been with us in the trenches, getting to this point and really actualizing the work that we've been doing. As you all are aware, WIOA is under strong consideration for major changes, but we will continue with our business as usual as we are planning for the future. So some things to note as well as additional partnerships. WIOA State Plan modification will come before us. We're anticipating to be due next spring. As a board, you all have always heard our plan, kind of sifted through, been available to provide feedback through our public comment period. That same kind of outline and framework will be true for the WIOA State Plan modification. As a supplement or secondary step to that will be the modification of regional and local plans. Those are the presentations that you traditionally hear from our local workforce development board directors and or what other staff they have with them. That will be coming in the spring as well. We don't know what the federal guidelines are around that process. We will happily share that with you as you will use that to influence whatever other requirements or modifications we ask for our locals as well as regions. So that's spring of 2026. To kind of get us there, I want to give some kudos. So THEC has been working on the revision of their master plan, and I know Julie and Mitch and Antonia, they're here. We have been engaged with them in their work process and making sure that their master plan has been reflective of the work that this board is doing, and especially where workforce development is headed on behalf of the state. So I want to give them a shout out. They've been doing a lot of work over the summer, a lot of stakeholder engagements. Julie, Mitch, can y'all stand? I'm calling you out, but can you stand? Yes. So they have a commission that they report to. Keep me honest, Julie, this month, right? You present to your commission? November, I'm sorry. So this fall, they'll be kind of getting their final blessing on that, but they've done a great amount of work engaging workforce partners, education partners, employer partners, higher education partners, and we've been engaged in that work with them. DevNown, Department of Education, they have been working on, and they presented, you'll hear more about a brief summary of her presentation in partnership with SCORE around innovative practices. So the Future Ready TN Portal, I'm not gonna steal your thunder, Deb, because they will have their full rollout from Department of Education. They've always been a continuous, strong partner for us. We appreciate their expansion of traditional K-12 education and including workforce components. And so happy to be able to support their work, the additional rollout and expansion of helpful tools, which the portal will be a very helpful tool. You all rolled that out in the spring, correct, Deb? To be determined. Okay, so I'm not going to misspeak for them. And then lastly, some things that are unique to Department of Labor. So you've heard us talk about the increase of state funds that we have related to traditional and non-traditional workforce programs, one of which is our 9-degree credential program, rapid, quick response to workforce needs, and what training, what short-term credentials can we develop to provide back to a future existing or future employee in response to what a business says. So more to come on that. And then a big splash that you'll hear from us is TN Works, collaborative effort to really respond to business and industry needs. Multiple state agencies that are coming together to provide support in a traditional incentivized way as well as a non-incentivized way, in-kind services for multiple state departments to respond to business and industry. More to come about that in the fall of this year. You all are great champions and stakeholders engaged in that process. You'll hear more about it, especially from the governor's office this fall. So just want to kind of level set on some specific activities that match the high-level updates that Commissioner Thomas shared. Any questions? Okay. Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right. I'm happy to introduce Brittany Birkin. She's the Director and Principal Advisor at the Federal Reserve Bank in Atlanta, and she has some really interesting and helpful information regarding the benefits cliffs and how we might keep those in our head as we're thinking about the programs to serve our Tennessee residents.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good morning, everyone. It's wonderful to be with you all today. I was able to present a little bit of background yesterday on benefits cliffs, our work and research and tools, and I'm happy to share some of that information this morning. So first, as a level set, for those who may not be familiar with benefits cliffs can occur when low-income working families are accessing public assistance programs like childcare, housing, food assistance to help make ends meet. And if they receive a small or modest wage increase, very often that can trigger the loss of eligibility to the public assistance programs, and it actually can leave them financially worse off because the value of that program is greater than the value of the income increase. So I usually start by personalizing this. Many years ago, I served as Florida's Child Care State Administrator, and this is my first experience with benefits cliffs was a call that I received from a parent who said, I think that I'm gonna lose eligibility to child care assistance. I was offered a 10-cent an hour wage increase by my employer, and I'm not sure that I'm gonna remain eligible for, in our state at school readiness, for child care subsidy for my 2 young children. And we confirmed her math. And for that $200 a year in increased wages, she was going to lose $9,000 in child care subsidy. And she asked, what do I do? And I said, I can't tell you what to do, but that dilemma stuck with me and was the beginning of my journey studying benefits cliffs. So at the Atlanta Fed, I am part of our Advancing Careers for Low-Income Families initiative. And for those who may think, why is the Federal Reserve working in this space? I am a director of our Center for Workforce and Economic Opportunity, tucked within our Community and Economic Development function. Our work there is to study and understand the barriers to labor force participation for low and moderate income working families. And the way that we work is we conduct research. When helpful, we create tools, and then importantly, we engage with community and state partners across the country to understand what are solutions, what are mitigation strategies, how can we learn about solutions to these barriers, and then share our knowledge for replication and scale. So in this case, our work is focused on benefits cliffs. So to help depict benefits cliffs and how they present, it's important to understand that we work from a definition of net financial resources. That definition is income plus any public assistance received minus basic household expenses minus taxes. What's left over would be your household net financial resources. So in this chart, you can see income increasing over time, and that there's an increase to net financial resources that is happening until $49,000. And in this example, this family would be no better off making $49,000 than they were when they were making $14,000 accessing public assistance. So that's the implication of these benefits cliffs and how they can present and cause challenges for families. So a lot of times we're asked, well, to what extent is this an issue? Alabama in 2021 conducted a pulse survey of low-income working families and asked the question, have you ever declined taking a new job or promotion because you were afraid you might lose a form of public assistance? And you can see that nearly 38% of the respondents indicated yes, that they had. It also has a profound impact on the business community. I asked the Florida Chamber of Commerce to add this question into their survey of HR directors. Have you found that some employees or candidates at your company are willing to accept jobs, increase hours, or advance because of fear of loss of government benefits? And at the time, it's worth noting that the person that was running the survey told me, you're not gonna get any responses. Like, the answer's gonna be no. Employers don't know about this, but you can see 33% of the employers said, yep, I have had that experience. I have had the instances where people are turning down promotions. Ultimately, these typically present as shorter-term barriers, but they can prevent the long-term realization of gains, and you can see the difference in earnings over time in the lifetime of a career. And very often we're asked, so what does this mean for a return on investment? This is an example where it's somebody who's making near minimum wage moving into a registered nurse position. For one person over their lifetime, that would save $350,000. So you can think about the multiplier effect if we can support career advancement for more low-income families, addressing the benefits cliffs, what that would mean for savings to taxpayers. So about 7 years ago, the Atlanta Fed began studying this issue. It was actually our then director of research, who's a labor economist, who was wanting to understand the implications for career advancement and was doing research on it and did a landscape analysis to see across the nation, did people have familiarity with this issue? Were there tools that helped provide information about this issue? And what we learned is that people were familiar with this challenge, but there weren't tools available at that time that answered the questions of when do benefit cliffs occur, for whom do they occur, how do they vary based on cost of living and where you live, how do they vary based on your family composition, how do they vary based on your public assistance package that you're receiving, and how do they vary based on your career choices. So we have, at this point, a suite of tools that's developed from a survive to thrive continuum, and I'm going to share an example of just one of our tools, but we'll mention, for example, the snapshot is really designed for people that might be financially unstable and they're not ready to do long-term career planning. So the ability is to understand, if I get a job, if I get an increase in hours or an increase in wages, what is going to be the implication on my public assistance and on my net financial resources? The dashboard, I will show you one example of briefly. And to set this up, we're going to meet Simone. She's a single parent with one child age 2 living in Memphis, Tennessee. She'd like to move to an in-demand occupation that allows her to move up the economic ladder. She currently receives assistance for food, childcare, children's health insurance, and accesses various tax credits. So the dashboard, you can see I put her in Shelby County, one parent, one child. This parent's 25 and her child is 2. And I mentioned what the public assistance programs are that she's accessing. And in this case, she's interested in becoming a licensed practical nurse. So this first chart is her take-home pay, so that means after taxes. And you can see the difference in earnings if she was to remain in a near minimum wage job versus moving in to become a licensed practical nurse. That gray dashed line that you see is the minimum household budget she would need in Shelby County to make her basic ends meet. And we use the United Way survival budget. If you're familiar with United for Alice, we have a partnership with them nationally to calculate what the cost of living would be for each county. The second chart that comes from our tools shows the differences in public assistance. So you can see, as you would imagine, if she stays in a near minimum wage job, she's going to have greater public assistance for longer periods of time than if she moves into the licensed practical nurse. So what does that mean for her net financial resources? So again, that definition is income after taxes plus public assistance minus basic household expenses. And in this chart, what's really important to note is that 0 dashed line, which is the break-even line. So you can see very quickly that if she were to stay in a near minimum wage job, she's going to continue to make difficult decisions on her household budget needs. If she moves to become a licensed practical nurse, she's going to come up over that break-even line and stay over that break-even line. But you also see there are a couple of benefits cliffs that are occurring. And when we toggle back to the chart before, you can actually see exactly what they are. The first is the loss of childcare subsidy, and the second is the loss of children's health insurance eligibility that caused those two cliffs that you see there. So that's an example of outputs from our tool, how they're used across the country. They're used for educational purposes, better understanding and mapping benefits cliffs, trends that you might see in any given county across the state, just general awareness. They're also used across the country by a number of workforce development intermediaries, including American Job Centers and one-stops, and some higher education community colleges as well, to do coaching. All of our tools are designed to be a supported conversation with a tool coach and a client, so that if there are questions about the outcome, somebody can help them navigate and figure out what's going to be the best career pathway that matches their interests with the needs of their families. It also can be used to think about different wraparound supports with training plans and what are the barriers that are going to present and how can those barriers be addressed. And then importantly, there's opportunity for employer engagement. Very often when I give presentations like this, and in fact it happened this morning, have someone come up and say, now it makes sense. I've actually had experience with someone turning down a promotion, and I kind of always questioned why that would happen. This is, really helps to explain that, and I'd like to know more about, as an employer, what I can do to think about addressing this from my vantage point. We also have the ability to do policy simulation and changes. So all of our rules are as is. So in the case of Tennessee, it's the values of your SNAP, your child care subsidy, your food assistance, et cetera. And we can model policy differences. And we've had some partners request, we're thinking about changing our child care subsidy policy, but we want to make sure we're not just pushing out the cliff. We want to know if we're actually going to solve for it. And so there's opportunity, and we've partnered with folks to do that. And then last, but certainly not least, is cross-system collaboration. The ability, and the commissioner alluded to this, to think about resources differently and identify multiple funding sources and multiple partners that can work together and better understand what are the barriers to economic mobility, how can we begin to think about addressing them from a systems perspective. We've also helped to inform innovative pilot development. So there's a lot of different community partners that are working on mitigation strategies. You'll hear a little bit more about that from some of my colleagues in just a minute. And then helping to support coaching, coordination, and navigation. Good examples of that are in Florida right now. The state workforce boards have adopted the tools, but the human service partners are coming alongside and figuring out how they can work together and both use the tools when and where appropriate with clients. So I will conclude with just a few highlighted state efforts and innovation pilots. Our tool is available for every state in the nation. It has usage in every state in the nation at this point, but we have some key areas of work that I think are worth highlighting here in the Southeast. I mentioned Florida. So in last year, 2024, they created legislation to say the state workforce system was going to adopt use of the tools at all American Job Centers across the state, particularly for families transitioning off of cash assistance. They also created a child care off-ramp. So child care eligibility goes up to 85% of state median income. The state of Florida moved that to 100% of state median income and put in state dollars to help support that bridge and buffer the cliff. In South Carolina, the legislature there too also designed legislation to begin to use tools like these. They did adopt our tool to use with clients so they can make informed decisions. And at the same time, they created a work group to study the issue and report back to the legislature with state agencies coming together to really look at this issue and better understand what are the most persistent benefits cliffs, and then bring that knowledge back to the legislature for consideration. In Tennessee, you all may be familiar, but in 2021, the legislature created the TANF Opportunity Grant and dedicated money from reserves to invest in 7 different community partnership pilots. And one of them here in Nashville and 7 surrounding counties is Our Chance, with Martha O'Brien as the anchor. And so I'm actually going to invite up my colleagues from Martha O'Brien Center now, Timberly Russell and Keith Barnes, to speak just a few minutes and give you an example of one of these innovation pilots.
Thank you for having us in the room. My name is Timberly Russell. I am the Director of Beyond the Cliff for Training and Employee Engagement with Martha O'Brien Center, and I'll let my counterpart Keith introduce himself. But we want to give you some insight on what you have in your backyard. So Martha O'Brien has a demonstration pilot currently called Our Chance Tennessee that provides coaching and transitional benefit to those who are experiencing the benefits cliff. And since this program has started, we have been able to have over 1,200 participants come through that and increase income by 19,500 is the exact number, I believe. But basically, we've seen a $20,000 increase in income for about 64% of those participants. And those are the two high-level responses to a pilot that is in your backyard. What that shows us and what Martha O'Brien has seen in real time is that if we help families who are experiencing this challenge called the benefits cliff by giving them a formula model of supports and tools while they're experiencing this challenge that is within their unique circumstances, they can experience increased income, but also increase in stability financially, but increase in their contribution to our great state, in tax dollars, in revenue, in their contribution to their communities. And so we want to make sure that we paint the picture for you that says, if we can help people address the benefits cliff, but also find their way into career pathways that allows them to tap into the workforce and tap into their own potential, which supports employers tapping into untapped talent that seems to be an issue where they don't have the ability to fill empty spots to continue growing our revenue. This can bring us to a place where we're all working together to resolve an issue, but also improve our great city, state, and hopefully we'll be the model for our country. And so I want to give you some passion and know that we are here and we are experts that can support you in that regard. And to give you a little bit more context, Keith is going to come up and give some more about what we're doing that reaches a little bit beyond just our local work, which you can contact us all the time to get information about, but we have some national work too that could also support any inquiries or understandings that you may have about this issue.
All right, good morning, everyone. I am Keith Barnes. I am the Senior Director of the Beyond the Cliff initiative at Martha O'Brien Center. And as Timberly mentioned, we're very excited and grateful for the partnership we have with the state of Tennessee through the Department of Human Services to operate the Our Chance Tennessee pilot. As she shared, we're seeing some very promising results as we work with families. She also mentioned that we're looking at this from a national perspective. And so Beyond the Cliff as an initiative of Martha O'Brien Center is focused on how do we bring together not just the innovation pilot that we have here in Tennessee, but practitioners from across the country. So that includes state agencies, county governments, and workforce and social service providers who are all testing innovative approaches to help tackle the benefits cliff. And we're learning together. We're identifying what are the best practices so that we can help inform efforts back home here in Tennessee and nationally. So I'll just say we stand ready to support any efforts that the Workforce Board is interested in pursuing, because we see firsthand how this impacts families, how this is holding families back. We also recognize that this is a barrier to meeting the talent needs of employers in our state. It is holding our state economy back. And so we are more than ready to help support any efforts that can fix this for Tennesseans.
Thank you both. And with that, I will turn it back over to you, Mr. Chair, but happy to answer any questions if anyone has them.
I was going to say, let's start with questions. Don't sit down yet. So first of all, thank you. The information is beneficial. The numbers are staggering and very impressive with what you're doing to help increase, because we know that what I love about that is that, yes, it helps those people, but as you pointed out, it helps the state because now they're contributing to the, to the state and kind of feeding back into systems that can then help other families. So that's all great news. What is, and I know you said you're willing to help broaden that nationally. Selfishly, how do we get, I think you're serving maybe 17 counties in the surrounding area? 16. So how do we get that to more of our 95 counties? Can you scale that in any way? Can Does it have to be with partnerships of other organizations? Can we, how would you be able to expand your services? I mean, if it's working, to me, it seems more efficient to scale what you're doing as opposed to getting other organizations on board. That's just my opinion, but.
So I'd like to offer first that I didn't say, because in my mind, let's get it in 5 minutes so we can get to the question and answer. So the pilot is a demonstration, and so as we serve those people, we do have a third-party evaluator that will analyze the results. And their strategy for doing that is once a person has entered into the pilot, 18 months after their participation, they'll evaluate to see what the effective impact is. Of course, this pilot started in 2022. Sorry, I get my dates. We have a lot of things going. 2022, so there may already be some response, but because that was the lifting phase, we wouldn't want to glean from that because now we're in that rich work at this point. So to your point, I don't think that scaling it would be an issue because the framework is already there, but that analysis would further support exactly how we would be able to expand it. It's the state's pilot, and we want them to take it and expand it. That is our goal at Martha O'Brien. And so first, conversations are absolutely available and open with the powers that be to discuss that. But I think the analysis and those results to show the effectiveness in real time would give us more insight on exactly what that will look like for the full state.
Very good.
And I will say, and I'm going to look at my colleagues here to affirm, at the heart of their work is coaching. And so when we think about, from a state workforce perspective, the opportunity for what that means for one-stops to be able to partner and emulate would be the question and opportunity for you all to explore.
Good. What other questions? Yes.
Thank you very much. Michael Hendricks from Governor Lee's office. I just wanted to say just a comment. Thank you for your work together and your work at the Atlanta Fed. Advancing opportunity and mobility for low-income families, huge priority for Governor Lee. And in specific, you mentioned something from Florida on childcare, how they had used state dollars to advance support up to 100% of state median income. Well, it was actually thanks to your work at the Atlanta Fed and highlighting that example for why Tennessee has just rolled that out. We're working on some of the details right now, but Governor Lee announced in his State of the State that we are indeed doing that. And thanks to the support of the General Assembly, we're going to use state dollars to add on to the federal benefits that we receive for childcare to help ease that benefits cliff. So it does not hurt working families in the way that it sometimes too often does today. So thank you very much for your work, and thank you so much for your work as well.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you for being here. I have a quick question. What are the employer engagement strategies within Our Chance Tennessee, and which are proving most effective? And how can we amplify these approaches across all of our business partnerships?
Thank you. I think, Natalie, thank you for asking that question. And so I want to answer that question in two parts. So our demonstration pilot has a employer engagement path where they're a navigator. They are the ones that when participant comes in, they use our Cliff tool, they do the coaching, because our coaching is family-centered coaching, where we put the participant in the driver's seat and we glean from what they know about themselves because they are the experts of their circumstances. And in that, we find ways to navigate career pathways for them. And that comes with some partnerships with employers that we've already connected with who have needs to be fulfilled, but then we use Martha O'Brien's, what I call wraparound services, to upskill them, to train them, to prep them, to pursue those careers, to hopefully the end result of obtaining them. That includes education, whether that's secondary education, whether that's short-term certification, apprenticeships. I know that they're in the room as well. Whatever that path is, we customize it to that individual so that they can get to the appropriate pathway. But how employers show up is we have partnerships with a set amount of employers who are willing to either support the upskilling or support making an opportunity for interviewing or making an opportunity for some on-the-job training. The other side to your question, which you didn't ask specifically, but I'm going to give it anyway because we brought our national work in the mix, is where my title proves value. Training and employer engagement. So on the Beyond the Cliff side, which is part of our national coalition, and some of the back office work to the pilot, is where we engage employers to make them aware. We do training with them to say the benefits cliff is an issue. Here is how it shows up in your workforce, and here are some tools and resources you can use to address it in the immediate time. What we want them to do is be proactive, but we do understand that sometimes something so new becomes a reactive response, and so we try to resolve both, giving them proactive tools to address in their workforce, but giving them reactive ones to maintain the people that they have. The hope is to create a network of employers who are sensitive to it, and they make changes on the dime within their own organizations, and they can glean from each other how they can address this, not just for the Benefits Cliff population, but for their workforce as a whole, because we don't want to ostracize those individuals. But we want employers to understand it is not their fault, but here are some things that you can do to make yourself look good in the community, to attract and retain employees, but then also make their work life be better than what it was before, because you're also addressing their work wellness of their entire life through work. I hope that answers your question.
It does. I just have one more quick follow-up question. As you guys are looking for business partnerships, are you targeting businesses by industry or prioritizing certain industries over others as it correlates to the needs of the state or the market?
Yes, specifically for Benefits Cliff, work that we've done with engagement, we rested upon some data from our local chamber, the Nashville Chamber of Commerce, about industries and where the Benefits Cliff may show up with them. And so we were able to identify particular industries that have more Benefits Cliff population than others. And we identified that the #1 industry was the hospitality industry. Nothing against them, but the reality is, I think that you as the board, workforce board, understand what hospitality is specifically for Nashville, but also for our state of Tennessee. So if they're the #1 industry, then that is where we lean the most. So most of our employee engagement has been with the hospitality industry, but we also have built relationship with them, healthcare, construction, and IT, as it is to date.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Yeah, so hi, Suzanne with the Department of Human Services. First, I just want to say a big thank you to Martha O'Brien Center. They are one of our 7 pilots, and they are a fantastic partner. They're doing great work, and we are very proud to have them on board. But I would be remiss, and I will probably get a lot of emails if I don't mention, and Mr. Chairman, this goes a little bit to your question. There are 6 other pilots across the state operating. They are doing, they may not be tackling the Benefits Cliff directly, but they are doing work that is advancing economic mobility, workforce development, those type of things. And as Timberly alluded, we do have a third-party partner, MEF Associates, performing a randomized controlled trial on all 7 of these. So we expect to have very good research that will be due back to us in December of next year that will help inform both us and the governor's office on our choices going forward on how we fund these types of programs. So we will keep this board informed. We will share those results as we get them. But just know we are looking at this statewide and planning for the future with what we hope will be very strong results.
Okay, and you say that that's due to you in December of this year?
December of 26.
Thank you.
And Chairman, if I might.
Please.
David Jordan with Agape in Memphis. First of all, again, Brittany, thank you for your information. I think this is so critical. And to our friends with Martha O'Brien, we have talked with y'all. I just want to affirm the good work that you're doing as a fellow partner with DHS and others deep in neighborhoods. If and when you're ready to scale to Memphis, you got a partner here. So thank you again.
Other comments or questions?
Mr. Chairman, if I could, just to sort of frame is, and thank you, Suzanne. So obviously, the work is continuing, and we'll have results next December, it sounds like, that can be shared with the board. But I also want to just share, leaning on Brittany's presentation yesterday and today, is that for the board, learning from these pilots is very important, but it doesn't mean we have to wait to act. The board can take on a posture of policy adoption to say, does it make sense to include at least the coaching, that now is absorbed into our one-stop centers? Or does it make sense that the targeted industries that Timberly mentioned, do we look at some ways to pilot that here as a priority for the State Workforce Board to start to look at that? As you know, we've leaned in more to, for example, supporting the hospitality industry. Does it make sense to start there and say we want more broad adoption of these tools and come back to share with this board what that looks like? So I just want to make sure that we don't have to necessarily wait for everything to be done and to come out of the oven. We can start to really start moving the needle on some things just by the board saying this is a priority, and we want to look more insightfully into ways that we can make an effort today. So I just wanted to make sure, Chairman, for the purposes of action by this board, that is certainly on the table.
Thank you. I appreciate that clarification. Yeah, Marshall.
So can I make a motion to that effect, that you would define or present a potential pilot to the board within the next 2 meetings or something along that line? Yes, sir. Yeah, I would like to see I would like to see your department develop at least a plan for a pilot to put these tools in place and to roll this coaching across our network.
Okay. Do I hear a second to that motion?
Second. Second.
All right. Thank you, Martha. Any discussion about that motion from Marshall?
I will just add that hospitality is a great place to start, because we, based on the governor's initiatives of the segmentation strategies, hospitality groups definitely in the East have already been established. So we have people established that focus on hospitality across the state. Anyway.
Good. Yes, Jackie.
Yes. First of all, thank you so much for bringing this up. When it first came up yesterday, we became concerned about how this will affect people when it's an abrupt, because there's no grandfathering, maybe they don't know ahead of time, so they can't plan accordingly. So my question is, are there safety nets currently in place that people can know about, or coaching activities, or are there benchmarks or other templates that we might be able to look toward to create something with the coaching? Because it would be not only a shock, but based on your examples, could be transformational negative impact if people don't have notice and don't know what to expect and can't plan financially. So,
Mr. Chairman, if I may. So yes, and if the board does move forward and decide for the potential adoption of a pilot, we can work, and Martha O'Brien has also volunteered to work to support and bring our knowledge of what's happening in other places to help inform and instruct this. And we can also do sort of an analysis of what are the resources that are available in Tennessee that might be helpful to augment and, you know, create a two-part pilot strategy session, if that's of interest to the board.
I sat here just thinking, I don't know if I'm going to bring this up or not bring this up. I don't know, but I'm going to bring it up. So we are doing a lot of great work to try to navigate an unintentionally awkward legislation, I guess, government policy around this topic, right, of the benefits, and that there's a hard cliff that they're off of. Along with all the efforts that we're hearing about and all this energy and great work that's being put in to accommodate this awkward system, do we have any group that's focused on writing legislation to create a system where, you mentioned it yesterday, where there's a step down of benefits that would effectively, in the context of this season between when they reach the cliff, they actually, as they get a promotion and get a raise, then they lose that amount of benefit, right? And so they stay at a even spot until they emerge from any eligibility for it. And I would submit that as part of that, you would need to write an ROI on it, and there is one, because for all these people that refuse a raise, well, they're probably in the entry-level spots in their company. And companies out there probably aren't interested in keeping people who aren't interested in advancing, right, out of the entry-level position. So as a consequence, these people remain on assistance and then probably end up with more assistance, unemployment and other, that they end up having to get as a result of this. And so, anyway, my curiosity is, do we have, or are you aware of, any group that is focused on doing the work of Congress and writing something up, right, that would be clear to them and would be a winner for them because it's got a positive return?
Mr. Chairman, if I may. So we are a 501c3, but that is really kind of the North Star for bringing together the Beyond the Cliff Coalition, this national network of practitioners, is because, yeah, we recognize that ultimately, yeah, there's a lot of important work that needs to happen as soon as we can at a state level, but ultimately this is you know, these are primarily federally funded benefits, and that's where we need to fix it. And so part of bringing these practitioners together is to identify what a better system would look like and to make recommendations to Congress. Again, we are a 501c3, but you know, we are making recommendations based on the best available evidence for what a better public benefit system could look like, so that I mean, you said it very well, right? Like, we don't want families to get stuck in a system. Like, nobody designed it this way on purpose, but families are living it on purpose. And we need to create a better system for them. So we're happy to talk more. Yeah.
I would just add, if I may, most of us have United Ways in our community, and the United Way is very much aligned on this topic as well.
All right, so we have a motion on the floor right now, and appreciate the discussion, but I didn't hear any discussion that would change the motion. Are we ready for a vote on that? Yes?
Mr. Chairman, can we specify the actual motion for the record one more time, as well as allow for a brief opportunity for any public comment?
I think I'm interested in, the motion would be that the state staff develop a plan for a pilot to present to the board to utilize these types of tools in our existing network of delivery services. And additionally, if I could add, I'm interested, I'm stuck on the data. How many people, you know, face this cliff? What are the population dynamics of this population and these kinds of things? So I'd love to see a report in our state. How many people do we have in this situation? What are their typical demographics and so forth? It's probably loose for a motion, but I'm trying.
Yeah, I don't think the details have to be part of the motion, but I think they can certainly be included in the report. So are you clear on the motion then?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. And
Okay.
can we just have a brief opportunity for public comment, since this was an agenda item?
Certainly.
Is there any public comment? All right, I think we're good to take a vote.
Okay, and does this need to be a roll call vote?
This could be just a voice vote.
Okay, thank you. So all in favor of the motion as presented by Marshall to ask the staff to, put together a pilot using the tools that were presented to us today, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, you have a new assignment, team. So, all right, thank you. All right, any other questions for this group? Excellent, good work. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Okay, so we're ready for some updates from our committee meetings that took place earlier today. And let's start with the Oversight Committee. I think we have a vote that's required from that one, but Martha, tell us about your meeting this morning and what we should be voting on.
Our meeting this morning was very efficient, and we moved right through everything that we needed. Amy brought us up to date on where we are with our, can you all hear me without my, yeah. Happen to think that might not be right. Amy brought us up to date on where we stand with progress on our regional plans, our state plans. The state plan, as you know, is from 2024 through 2027, and hopefully will be modified in the spring of '26 if it stays in place. The major achievements include a 1.1% growth in labor force participation since May of 2024, which doesn't sound like a lot, but is huge. I'll just define it as that. We had an 11.8% increase in active apprenticeships since last fiscal years from July to June. 100% local board increased their minimum participation cost rate. Average was up 25%. We had successful initiatives with the Youth Employment Program, expanded partnerships, and updated service strategy. WIOA requires plan modification, we just mentioned that, every 2 years, and we will do that in the spring of '26. Then we had a fun topic. It's our bylaws revision. So the key notes to our bylaw revision is the expand and clarify the board's duties and responsibilities to align with our governor's vision, which is that EO 109 that we keep talking about. We have revisions to grant the board more flexibility to better prepare for support of the Tennessee Works Initiative and to revise outdated language. One of the big things that changed in the bylaws too is that we as a board can add committees to work on specific projects. And on those committees, we can have non-board members participate. That's a change. And then we had bronze numbers and lots of numbers. Tennessee is meeting all the federal performance measures and surpassing several state performance measures intent on increasing participation in WIO Title I and Wagner-Pfizer programs. We're seeing an increase in Wagner-Pfizer because of co-enrollment and more focus on Wagner-Pfizer as they come in the AJCs. State investment in workforce development programs has increased by 219% from '23 to the current year through fiscal year '26. As a result of these state investments, annual authorized funding has seen a slight increase because of the state investments from prior years, with operational expenditures remaining steady, mitigating current consequences of declining federal funds, which could yet be declining again as the future comes. And that concludes my report. What we do need to back up is to have a vote to adopt our bylaw changes. And I would entertain a motion to accept the bylaws as they've been changed.
Okay. Did everybody understand the changes as Martha summarized them for us? So can I have a motion then to accept the changes to the bylaws as recommended by the Oversight Committee and presented to us this morning?
So moved.
Okay, I'll say, Tim, you made the motion, and Marshall, I'll call yours a second. And then is there any discussion about those changes to the bylaws, which I think essentially just get us in line closer to the executive order? Okay, no discussion, and we do need to take a voice vote here. If there is any conflict of interest, please announce that now before the voice vote. Do we need to allow public comment as well?
Mr. Chairman, we did not, I just want to know for the record, we didn't receive any public comment
Okay.
From our site, but this will actually need a roll call vote.
Yep.
For this one.
I'm sorry, yeah,
Not
I
a
meant
voice.
roll call vote. Okay. Okay, so roll call vote. Isla, will you help us out with that, please?
Jackie Akbari,
Yes.
Natalie Alvarez,
Yes.
Martha Axford,
Yes.
Assistant Commissioner Jay Baker.
Yes.
Joe Baker,
Yes.
Jason Bates,
Yes.
Tim Berry,
Yes.
Linda Botch,
Yes.
Suzanne Carr,
Yes.
Billy Dykes,
Yes.
Ben Ferguson,
Yes.
Max Goldberg,
Yes.
Marshall Graves,
Yes.
David Jordan, Mayor Tim Kelly,
Yes.
Michael Hendricks,
Yes.
Sandra Long,
Yes.
Jenny McCabe,
Yes.
Mayor Mike Pogriba,
Yes.
Stuart Price,
Yes.
Assistant Commissioner Deborah Knoll,
Yes.
Jason Schmidt,
Yes.
Lee Sloan,
Yes.
David Stansel,
Yes.
Commissioner Denise Thomas,
Yes.
Jamie Schote,
Yes.
Jeff Vance,
Yes.
Ron Wade,
Yes.
Assistant Commissioner Kevin Wright.
Yes.
Chairman Berry, there are 29 in favor, no opposition, and no abstentions.
Thank you. So that passes. Thank you for your input to that. Martha, thank you for the report. I think it's also kind of a little bit disappointing to hear that Michelle Falcone had submitted her resignation due to some personal reasons. She's served this board for many, many years very faithfully, and she regrets her need to do that, but due to personal circumstances, she had to leave. So we wish her the best. And Martha, thank you for stepping up and filling in for that committee for this. I appreciate that. And then we're working with the governor's office to appoint the next chair of that committee.
Chairman Berry, before we move to the next committee, just for a matter of record, there was a tasking that came out of the Oversight Committee that I just wanted to make sure was noted. With the expansion of the Executive Order 109, which gives the board greater policy consideration and decision-making over the workforce portfolio, there was an appetite for the board, by the next committee meeting, to bring back all of the workforce funding across all of the agencies so that the board had that in their portfolio. So that will be available to the board by the November meeting. I just want to make that as a matter of record.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Stuart, let's hear what happened in Operations Committee this morning.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Operations Committee had a full agenda this morning, not unusual. We opened up with some reflections on the time yesterday in the strategy session, and certainly all felt that that was a time well spent and is starting to stir our juices around what we want to accomplish in the upcoming year. So more to come on that. Our first presentation was from Brandon Finks and Dr. Leslie Cowell, Dean, College of Education from Lipscomb University. And Lipscomb has recognized a growing shortage of early childhood educators in Tennessee and has stepped up to build an apprenticeship program to meet that need and fill that gap, which obviously is important to many of the programs that we discuss in this room. Certainly, childhood development is a consistent theme across many of the programs that we have for people in need. This is an innovative partnership. It's a result of collaboration between Lipscomb and the University of Tennessee Department of Labor and Workforce Development. And so they have built the program on a series of stackable credentials, starting with Child Development Associate, which is the most widely understood entry-level credential in early childhood education. And then they go on to achieve the U.S. Department of Labor Early Childhood Educator Certificate, and then the Child Development Specialist Certificate. After that, they receive their associate's degree, their two-year degree, and then beyond that, they achieve their bachelor's degree in integrated early childhood. This is a non-semester program to receive full bachelor credentials. It is fully remote learning, so they can take classes while they're working. The first cohort is started in August. They will have starts in August, which we just started, January, and June. The first cohort is 20, and 10 of them are working and 10 are not. And currently we have 7 employment partners in the program. There is an employer hub director that is responsible for growing the number of employment partners, and that is ongoing. And let's see, ultimately, the goal as we see it today is to have 200 apprentices enrolled per year in the program. And so, again, it has just begun. If there is anything that they would ask for, it would be, by the way, this is a tuition-free program. That's their goal, is to make it a tuition-free program for these enrollees in the program. With this first cohort, they're about $35,000 short in total, and so they would welcome this board to lean on any of our private sector people who would have an interest in contributing, or if there's any other funding available that we're aware of, they would certainly welcome that. But a great presentation on their part, and something that's very, very important to each and every person in this room, depending on what programs you're engaged with or reporting on. Typically, childhood care and child care is a critical part of successful employment for many of our people out there. Our second presentation was on SNAP employment and training from Michelle Joyner and Lisa Johnson. They gave us an awesome background and recap and sort of review of the entire program, which is always helpful. We receive an update from them once a year. They have had significant reduction in funding and administrative costs in the program 2026 to the tune of $1 million. And so they're going to be working on expanding third-party models and utilizing a reimbursement model to help bridge that gap that is now in place. And so they're expanding online training options at the University of Tennessee, extension for job search training and work readiness training, and their increased awareness of child care services, there we go, available by participation with SNAP employment and training. There are 12 agencies in the partner network. They're looking to add partners in West and East Tennessee, and there are 3,000 enrolled in the SNAP education and training services out of 700,000 SNAP recipients. And so, again, their ask they could use more state funding, and they would find a way to put it to good use, for sure. And then our last presentation was on the operational dashboard from Jeremy Colbert. He presented on our enrollment numbers for 4 different programs. There was a Wagner-Pizer and Youth Employment Program, but those numbers were all in line. But the Title I and Title III co-enrollment is currently at 61% of the goal, and his reporting on that is really there is no reason for us not to be at the 90% goal, if not 100% enrolled in that program. So there'll be focus on that, and then we also had some discussion around the operational dashboard as far as what the committee would like to see in the way of reporting. So Jeremy and the team, support team, along with the committee are going to be dialoguing, and that's just kind of a follow-on from our discussions yesterday in our strategy session. And that concludes the report.
Very good. Any questions for Stuart or the Operations Committee? Okay, thank you. Marshall, tell us what happened in Innovation Committee this morning.
As with the other committees, we had a very busy schedule this morning. We heard 3 presentations, primarily intended to inform us of activities that are happening. Very often in innovation, we see things as they're very early in process, and we sort of walk with folks through those processes over different meetings. The first presentation we heard this morning was Teresa Smith, who's the Assistant Administrator for Rural Initiatives for the Tennessee Department of Labor and Workforce Development. She talked to us about the Rural Health Care Grant and the state of that initiative. Very exciting results in that initiative. The state funded $7,470,000 in grants to 38 different grantees. And this covered proposed 58 different health sciences, health care training career occupations. Let me give you some data on this. First of all, we were in the seed funding round, and one of the most interesting outcomes of this is that we were able to actually move forward very quickly into enrolling participants. So far, we've had 267 participants in 31 different occupation areas, and that represents participants from 52 counties in the state of Tennessee. Just to give you an idea, these are phlebotomy, certified nursing, pharmacy tech, EMT, biomedical equipment technicians, and other health sciences, allied health work. So very excited about that. We didn't necessarily expect to have enrollment in these programs at this phase, but I think the planning that was done, the funding, and certainly it indicates that there's an appetite for this kind of training across our state, and that the partners that are out there are willing to be involved. Secondly, we had the Tennessee Department of Education, Deborah Knowles, presented to us around what we call CTE, Career Technical, I'm going to draw a blank, education. What they're really focused on is sort of this notion of future-ready Tennessee, and they're really interested in, I'm coming up with a word. Deborah, tell me this term that you had. I wrote it down. They're interested in credentials of value, which of course is something that has to be measured, and so they're developing a rubric around measuring these credentials of value. and really being able to tell what, in this broad spectrum of certifications, what is actually valuable for someone. So I think it's a very early work. They're continuing to work with many partners across the state to determine what that is. But I think it's very interesting to align high school students with work, right, and to see that process. One of the questions that came up in that work is sort of what happens in rural, this work is, it's a little bit easier in the urban areas because there's more employers. And so they pointed out there's 3 different strategies around how to take this work into the rural area, specifically virtual work-based learning, which is one strategy. They're also looking at empowering the local school districts and the local county governments in the rural areas. And then they're really targeting just really outreach to employers to help them understand how this could work for them. We also heard a third presentation from our friends at Tennessee SCORE, Bryce Warden, Mary Cypress Metz. We've seen them in our full board in the past. They're working on this effort. And so really what our conversation this morning was about is the sort of new initiatives to develop educational initiatives primarily at the high school level to align students with work-based learning. Sounds like it? Yeah. A lot. Thank you.
Very good. Any questions for Marshall or the Innovation Committee? Yes, Joe.
Just related to our committee, we had made a motion out of the committee, I think earlier this year.
Yes.
Asking for some information on which jobs were most likely to be disrupted by technology and artificial intelligence, and then also where the biggest opportunities may exist going forward. I'm just curious if we could get an update on that, or when to maybe expect that.
Commissioner?
Yes, thank you. And we remember the request. Last week, we had an opportunity to meet with an economist from OpenAI and also a representative from NVIDIA. So I have put forth an invitation for them to come and speak directly to the State Workforce Board. There are studies out there, but I know this board has a lot of questions, and I want to make sure those are specific to Tennessee. And so we are working to hopefully try and get them in November. We will keep you posted on that. If they're not able to make it in November, we will make sure we can forward at least their reports ahead of time. But we felt a more active, engaged conversation would be better than just a stock report. If the board wants to pivot from that, we're happy to make that adjustment as well.
There was also some indication yesterday about some analysis. Amy, you might fill me in on that. There was a report that we were waiting on, maybe, that was coming. Is that the same data?
The Boyd Center. Yes. So one of the things that we wanted to do was to have the Boyd Center perhaps do a report specifically for the board on AI disruption. I shouldn't say disruption because it'll also be opportunities for the state of Tennessee. I think that's a matter of us getting the scope approved by the board to make sure we're hitting on all the key points, and then commission that study as well. So that's also an ongoing opportunity for the board to go alongside. But I think having sort of the folks that are really mired in both the economist / outlook world is going to be very important too, to make sure that when we commission the study, we're not asking for just AI generally. That's not going to inform our efforts, but making sure it's narrow enough that it can actually give the board meat to make policy decisions. So that's kind of where we are.
Good. Other questions? Very good. Thank you for those reports and your time this morning in those committees. I think we may have a new state record for wrapping up a board meeting in less than 90 minutes, so congratulations. But we do have a few other things that we want to do. So Jenny, did you have someone that you wanted to introduce?
Thank you, Chairman Barry. I'm Jenny McCabe, Director of Workforce Development at ECD. We have an exciting announcement. Scotty Tudor will serve as Assistant Director of Workforce Development. She's here in the crowd today. She has most recently served as the Business Development Consultant in Northern Middle Tennessee, and before that she served as the Business Development Consultant in Southern Middle. So she is very experienced and has worked with the partners, so we're excited to have her transition to workforce from business development and excited to expand ECD's workforce capacity as we move forward with Tennessee Works and all these other exciting initiatives. So thank you for the time. And Scotty, if you don't mind standing standing up and waving your hand.
Yeah, let us
I know
see
you know
it.
some of us, but here she is.
Hello.
Thank you.
Thank you. We look forward to what you can bring to this new role, so thank you for that. We also, make sure you have on your calendars the November meeting. After this meeting, immediately after this meeting, we would love a group photo of the board so that we can put it in the September edition of our Focus newsletter. Is that right? And our social media site. So, we got people watching this on YouTube. Let's give them a nice picture that they can put on their home screen. I don't know what they do. All their state workforce fans out there, we want to give them a picture. Very good. So any other closing comments, Amy or Commissioner?
I just want to real quickly to acknowledge that Brianna Thomas now. This is her last board meeting before she goes out on maternity leave. I just want to recognize, as you know, her amazing work both on Tennessee Works and supporting the board. So we wish Brianna the best. I am excited for her and both depressed at the same time. But she will rejoin us on next year. But just wanted you to know in case you didn't see her face, so we can give her well wishes.
Yeah, for sure. Congratulations, and we'll be praying for a safe delivery and health for everyone involved there. That's exciting. Okay, do I hear a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Thank you, and a second? And everybody in favor? All right, let's have a picture made. Thank you.